You're recording? Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Today's shir is being sponsored L'Nishmas Imi, Rusbas Mordechai, and L'Schus Refuah Shlema, Zahava Bas Malka Chana, Refuah Shlema, and one of the Bnei Chabura, his wife is really not doing well, so the Olam should have a tremendous kavanah. Refuah Shlema for Alter, no, that's somebody else. Alter Yerachmiel Ben Yocheved is also one of the kids of somebody that's in the Chabura, day and night in Zoom. And Refuah Shlema, where's that one? Oh, did I throw that one out? My mistake. Zahava Bas. You know what happened? I printed it out, and I thought I printed out small, and I printed out, you don't have one? Oh, that's it. Okay, this one, sorry. Zahava Bas Malka Chana is somebody from the Chabura's wife who's not doing well. Sorry, I apologize. Adi Rachmil Ben Yocheved is that 8-year-old kid in Lakewood whose father watches the shir twice a day. And shir sponsored Lili Nishmas, Moshe Ben Osher, Chava Bas Yehuda Aryeh, Yisrael Ben Aaron Yaakov, Golda Bas Yaakov Moshe. The Neshomas should have an aliyah. First email, Bezer Hashem, because we have, Shalom Aleichem, Refuah Shlema, to your son. How did it go? We said a lot of Tehilim for him. Not then, throughout the months. It's Rabbi Landau himself is here. Beautiful. All right. I want to update you. This is from Mark Ashkenazi. I want to update you with the good news that my father, Reb Chaim Ben Chana, for whom I sponsored the shir the other day, has been discharged from the hospital. On Thursday, they determined that pneumonia was caused. I should call for being zaking me with Lima Daf Yomi and making such an inspiring, captivating experience. Best wishes for Kasiv Chasim Toiva. Mark, we hope that you stick it out. I know you started in Eruvin, and Eruvin is tough, but whoever starts in Eruvin is certainly going to go places. It's a lot more difficult to start in Eruvin than to start in Brachas, and if you start then, because Baruch Hu gives special siyata d'shmaya. This is from Simcha Frid. Unfortunately, no one wants to be mishtatev. No one wants to join me. What's going on here? I have Reb Shimshon Weiss. He says he did it. He took it upon himself. His first day without a phone. He's telling me, unbelievable. He loves it, right? Scream it out. He said that he was able to do more work, more stuff. I thought I was going to get 40, 50 emails. No. He says like this, Simcha Frid, I will try the no internet smartphone challenge until Rosh Hashanah. I'm assuming that besides news, this includes sports. Listen, I didn't say what to do. If you take out one thing, that's great. Anything. Take out one. If sports is your thing, take out sports, watch the news. Snooze is your thing. One thing. You could do anything that's Torah related. I will only use my internet for spiritual matters. Simcha Frid. P.S. Missing the Giants-Steeler opening game tonight will be hard. I get it. So whoever watches sports and needs to watch sports, okay, fine. I'm just saying, try something a little bit. You don't have to go cold turkey in Gansen. One email I got, how can you tell people to go cold turkey? They're going to do chas from other stuff. Okay, whatever. Should we do it? Okay, you know what? I'll be misgaber. We won't do this email today so that the Olam can make it to Slichas on time. We are holding Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis by Omar Rav. 10 lines from the bottom. Omar Rav Leisa Lemasnisan. So we had a Mishnah discussing Breira. Breira is if you have two choices. Or you have a choice, two choices. The Mishnah is discussing a person places two Eruvin. You're only allowed to place one Eruv per Shabbos. He decided to place two. He's going to call out which one he wants to use on Shabbos, depending on where the rabbi shows up, or depending on where the guy is coming to get him from. That's called Breira. He could retroactively decide which one he wants to use. Amar Rav, Leisa Lemasnisan. This Mishnah is no good. Midatani Ayoy. Ayoy is the name of a Tana. The only time he appears in Shas is regarding this halacha. That's it. He appears in Shas a number of times, 4 or 5 times, but this is the only thing that he says. I'm not going to call you out. I'm just going to stand up for you. But nobody knows who I stood up for. Leisel Masnisim the Tani Ayoy. The Tani Ayoy. Rabbi Yehuda Oimer Ein Odam Masnal Shnei Dvarim Ke'echad. Now, if you look at the last line in the Mishnah, it says that if let's say two Rabbanim showed up, Im Hayu Shneim Rabbaisav, L'Makom Shiyitze Yelach. He could pick and choose any rabbi that he wants. In other words, Yesh Breira. In the Mishnah it says he could pick and choose in Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says if there's one of them is his Rebbe and the other one he doesn't really know, he's mechuyev to go to his Rebbe, says Rabbi Yehuda. But if both of them are his Rebbeim, he could pick and choose. What does that mean? Yesh Breira. He could decide on Shabbos which one of the two Eruvin he wants to use. What's the chiddush? We said yesterday that one of the Rebbeim is Rabbi Muvak. You would think he should go to the Rebbe Muvak. No, he could go to the other one. But what does Ayoy say? The exact opposite. The Tani Ayoy Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ein Odam Masnal Shnei Dvarim Ke'echad. A person cannot make two conditions and then decide which one he wants to make. So in other words, on two Talmid Chachamim that show up, he cannot decide which one he wants to go to. And you hear what Rav says? Because of this Ayoy, we have to scratch the Mishnah. Get rid of that. Why? Maybe the Mishnah should get rid of Ayoy. So that's going to be discussed in the Gemara. Says the Gemara something interesting in the Havamina. He doesn't know what direction the rabbi is coming from, but we're only discussing one rabbi. Two rabbis is a problem because Ein Breira, you can't decide on Shabbos which one you want to go to. But one rabbi, you just don't know what direction he came from, that's okay. The Gemara is going to ask right away, why? What's the difference? Both of them you're choosing. You're choosing east versus west. That's also choosing. Who cares if it's one rabbi versus two rabbis? You're still choosing. You can't decide retroactively which direction you want to go to. But if two rabbanim come from both sides, then you can't choose. Ask the Gemara, why, if you have two rabbanim, you can't decide? They ain't breira, because you cannot choose retroactively. So too, east or west is also considered choosing. We're talking about a situation that the Chacham already came. The Rav came before Shabbos. And when the guy places two Eruvim, he didn't know which direction. But he placed it on condition that he's going to go to the direction that the rabbi showed up. So Mamela, before Shabbos, only one of these Eruvim worked. He just doesn't know. It's just a chesar in his yediyah. He doesn't know which direction. But halachically, it was already established before Shabbos showed up that he's going to be using this Eruv because the Rav showed up on this side. He just doesn't know. So Mamela, we're not discussing Breira at all. We're just discussing a guy that has no idea, and he decided that the facts should determine which Eruv works. And the fact is that this Rav came before Shabbos. This Rav never showed up. Mamela, this is the Eruv, this is not the Eruv. And that's the end of the story. Says the Gemara, I don't understand something. You're bringing me a Ayoy, who only appears one time in Shas, and you're scratching the Mishnah of Rabbi Yehuda. Adarabba, the Mishnah is much stronger than a Braisa. Why don't you just say that the Mishnah is the correct one? Because I have another source that also tells me the same idea as Ayoy says, that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold of the concept of Breira. I cannot go retroactive. In another story. So now we're going to bring different cases of Breira and Breira. Snan. Okay. So you have a Kusi. A Kusi is somebody that became a ger from the nation of Kus. A whole machlokes in the Gemara. Is he a true ger? Or he's a ger out of fear from the lions. The Kusim, many times they take on mitzvahs. They certainly don't take on the Rabbanans. Sometimes they ignore the mitzvahs. But the mitzvahs that they take on, sometimes the Gemara says that they do it better than Klal Yisrael. We're talking about Truma over here. They don't care about Truma. We're also talking about before the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that tells us you're not allowed to buy wine from a kusi, and if you buy wine from a kusi, it's like you're drinking yain nesach. Before that situation. Now, you purchased the wine from a kusi. Daf Amud Aleph. Oimer Shnei Lugim. Now, what's going on here is that you don't have a kli with you. Okay, you're at the wine store. Who walks around with a bottle with different cups and different kalim or whatever? Now, when you buy wine, you have to take truma, 2%. When you're done with the truma, you have 98% left. You have to take 10% of the 98% and give it to the Levi. How much is that? 9.8%. So you give, we'll call it 10% to round it out. From the 10%, you also have to take Meiser Sheni, from whatever's left over. In other words, from the 88.2%, you have to take 10% of that, which is 8.8%. 8.8% of the green goes to Meiser Sheni. Okay. Now, you could sit and drink the wine. The problem is, he doesn't have where to put all the stuff. Where's he going to pour the truma into? On the ground? He can't do that. He has to give it away to the Kayan, to the Levi. What is he going to do? So, he could pretend that he's taking it. He'll just announce it. That's what people here in Eretz Yisrael do. When they buy fruit, they're not sure if the Am Haaretz took Trumas HaMaisros. They'll say, Mamish, this kind of lashon over here. He says, Shnei Lugin Shani Asid. He has 100 lug. So 2%, which is Truma, right? 2%, 2 lugin. Shani Asid Lahafrish. In the future, I am going to set it aside. Right now, I'm drinking wine without being mafresh. What is that? If we stop right here, what is that called? Breira. Tomorrow, I am going to decide which 2% it is. But right now, I didn't decide, and right now, I'm allowed to drink the wine because tomorrow, I am going to be mafresh the trumas and maisris. So again, what does he do? 2% is truma, asara, and then whatever's left over from the 98%, 10%, maiser rishon, I give it to the Levi in red. How much am I left over now? 88.2%. So 10% of 88% of 88 is 8.8. Fine. Tisha, we'll just round it out, says Taisvis. We call it 9 instead of 8.8. Tisha Meiser Sheni. And now I give 9 Meiser Sheni. To who? To myself. Now here's the thing. Meiser Sheni is for me. So I could drink it right now. I don't need a kli for Meiser Sheni. I don't have to pour it anywhere. All I need to do is redeem it on money. Well, I have cash. I just came out of the liquor store. I have cash. So I'll redeem it right now, here and then. I'm going to do Meiser Sheni. So that's why it says, Umeichal. He does it right now. He redeems it. V'shoyse miyad. Oh. Divrei Meir. So let's read it nicely. Divrei Meir, period. Who says Yesh Breira? Rebbe Meir. Rebbe Meir says I could set it aside in my mind. I don't even set it aside. I say, in this bottle of wine, some of it, 2% is like this, 10% is like that, another 10% like that. But I'm drinking it. Okay, so whatever's left over at the end, that will be Mavura, the Mafreya, that's Breira. I'll decide retroactively that part that was left over, that's the 2% that I decided should be Truma. That's the 10% that should be Meiser. But look at this, it says, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Oisrim. We must remember these names. Rabbi Yehuda is our Mishnah that says, Yesh Breira. If 2 Talmidei Chachamim come, I can decide which Talmidei Chacham I want to go to. That's Yesh Breira. Over here he says, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Oisrim. You cannot set aside Truma, pretend that you're setting it aside. Why? Because they hold Ein Breira. So Memela, I have here a brisa that says Ein Breira. It says Desnan, it's a Mishnah. Tosfos says it's a brisa. We're talking about a brisa. Okay. We have a brisa that says, Rabbi Yehuda says specifically Ein Breira. We have Ayoy, the one time in Shas, Ayoy says, Rabbi Yehuda says Ein Breira. And we have our Mishnah that says, Rabbi Yehuda says Yesh Breira. So it's 2 against 1. That's why we knock out the Mishnah, not knock out Ayoy. Because Ayoy has a good brisa that says like that. Okay, weiter. Ulo Amar. Now, just so you're on the same page with me, here's the wine store. This is case number 1. Could you zoom in on this for a second? Are you able to? It's white. I don't know. I can't see it so well on the screen. No? Here we go. Otazoi. Kuti Wine and Spirits. This is the Kuti Wine store. Okay, so you'll remember, this is case number 1. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ein Breira. Next. Says the Gemara, Ula Omar, Leisa la'ayoy b'mas nisin. Ayoy is wrong. And I'll prove it to you from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that Rabbi Yehuda holds Yesh Breira. Ayoy says Ein Breira. But we just brought another proof to Ayoy. We just brought this Kusi wine store. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon, Oisrim. We lump them all together. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, and Rabbi Shimon say that there's no Breira. Says the Gemara, Ula Zuzei Zuzei Ktani. He made them into pairs. He doesn't read it. Reb Meir says Yesh Breira. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon say Ein Breira. He puts them together. Reb Meir and Rabbi Yehuda are one zug, one pair. Zuzei is a zug, is a pair. Pair number 1. In other words, he reads it with a vav in between. That's how he got by tradition. It's not like he's making it up now. He's saying that when the Brisa says the names, it goes like this. Divrei Rabbi Meir v'Rabbi Yehuda. Period. The period goes after the name Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yehuda, in fact, holds Yesh Breira. That fits right into our Mishnah that you could pick and choose any rabbi you want. Yesh Breira. The Kuti wine store holds Ein Breira, so that's 2 against 1. Okay. And then we have Rabbi Yosi v'Rabbi Shimon Oisrim. So we have this pair right over here, named Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Shimon. They say Ein Breira. Now, the Gemara is going to challenge these 2 right over here. Do they in fact hold Ein Breira? I need to slow down a little bit. It's only 33. How's everybody's day? Sorry there. V'savar Rabbi Yosi Ein Breira. That mamash sound like Nachman Seltzer, that new, but he's not here. V'savar Rabbi Yosi Ein Breira. Oh, that was the Baskel that said no. V'savar Rabbi Yosi Ein Breira. Does in fact Rabbi Yosi hold that you cannot go retroactive? Asnan Rabbi Yosi Omer. Shtei noshim shelokhu es kinayim be'eruv. I completely forgot. We learned Masechtas Kinim. It was a Mishnayos only. Remember? Reuven remembers. Every Mishnah, the bird went this way, the bird went that way. Crazy. It was the same pictures over and over, but 2 birds, 4 birds, 6 birds, 8 birds. Goes like this. A woman who gives birth has to bring 2 korbanos, a chatas and a oila. Pretend she's poor. She has to bring 2. Every woman brings at least 1 bird, but if she's wealthy, she brings a carbon also. An animal. If she's not, then she can bring 2 birds. 2 friends met each other at the hospital. They're going to buy the birds together. So they buy 4 birds, 2 kinim. A ken is 2 birds. Each one has to bring 1 ken, meaning 2 birds. They buy 2 kinim, 4 birds. Now, let's say they bought a ken. The ken is a chatas and a oila. Another ken, chatas and oila. The chiddush over here is, since they didn't designate it yet, they bought it together. They could take the 1 ken and say, both of these are chatas. Both of these are oila. That's a huge chiddush. Or they could say, this ken that's a chatas and oila goes to Rachel. This one that's a chatas and oila goes to Leah. The bigger chiddush is that you can make the 2, you can make, even though they bought them as a chatas and oila sort of, they can make them both chatas. The point is that the Kayin can later on decide whatever he wants. He can decide which one of the 4 birds is chatas for Leah, which one of the 4 birds is chatas for Rachel. What is that called? Breira. He can decide retroactive what he wants. Who says this? Rabbi Yosi. You just told me Rabbi Yosi holds, and he's certain. Ula cannot say, oh, Rabbi Yosi belongs to this zug. He's in the second part. Rabbi Yosi says, Ein Breira. Over here he says, yes, Breira. They didn't buy the birds, they gave him the cash. He could do whatever he wants. Now, just to point out, Taisa says that at the end of the day, a kohen doesn't have to say, this bird is for Leah, this bird is for Rachel. He can take the birds, throw it on the Mizbeach. So what's the problem? Why does he need Breira over here? You hear, Dr. Factor? You hear the kasha? Says Taisa, because a chatos goes on the bottom. A bird chatas goes on the bottom below the red line, below the chut sikra. The oil goes above if it's a bird. If it's an animal, it's different. That's why he has to decide. Not to who, but which one it is that's going to go on top and the bottom. Now, by the way, just Rashi points out that if you mess up, if you're a kohen and you mess up and you take the chatas of Rachel, you give it to Leah, not only does it not work for Leah, but it's possible when it comes to chatas. Okay, it won't work for Leah, but it's not possible. This chatas you throw in the garbage. If you give it to the wrong person, you do it for the wrong shem, it's called shaloi lishma, that's the Masechtas Chulin, possible. Amar Rabba. Says the Gemara, Rabba holds that we're not talking about Breira here. Hasam kishihisnu, they made a t'nai. They purchased these birds and they said, listen, we don't know what's going on. We have no idea. All we know, we have to buy 4 birds. Whatever the kohen decides, he will decide when he's makriv what we bought. He'll decide the kinyan. So it's not retroactive. It's not that they bought it and then he decided. He's deciding the purchase right then and there. So what's the chiddush? If he could decide the purchase, then there's no chiddush at all. Of course, the kohen could be, he could decide. So it goes like this. If I went to Target and I bought, with my friend, we bought 2 cups together. I paid for it. And then we walk out of the store. I say, here, you take this one, I take this one. Happens all the time, right? You go to the store, your friend says, but it works. Well, there's no shiloh that it works. You take the cup, I take this cup, everything is great. When it comes to birds, it's different. Why? When it comes to birds, the Torah says, she decides when she buys it, the woman, at the lakicha, at the kinyan, she decides what it is. Is it going to be the continuation of the pasuk chatas oila? But there's another pasuk. This is Perigid Beis, but in Perik Tesvav it says va'asa hakoyen esa echad chatas. He decides. Says the Gemara. There's 2 times, but only 2 times. At the time of the purchase and at the time of the hakrava. If a woman doesn't decide which one is chatas oila, she cannot decide once she steps foot out of the door, out of the store, out of Target. By the way, Stam Derech Hag, I'm thinking, if there was a Target in Eretz Yisrael, thousands of more women would make Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. I guarantee you, right? I think that's the only one thing that the women complain about. If you live in Borough Park, you have no idea what Target is? Costco. Some people have Amazon and Target. Yeah, you're right. Amazon is also.
Amazing Savings should be here.
Who? Amazing Savings. I don't know if it's public knowledge. I can't even say what he just said. We have somebody online that has something to do with Amazing Savings. Okay. Mark, the guy that sent the email, his father, he works for Amazing Savings. But there's other things also going on. Okay, so that's what the Gemara says over here. Big chiddush is that this chiddush of Rav Chizda, that's what we want to say. That the kohen is the one that decides. The women cannot decide. Once they move out of the store, once they purchase it, they pay the money, they're locked up. The only person that could decide from that point on is the kohen. Kamashmon Geder Rav Chizda, the Omer Rav Chizda, Ein Hakinim Mispar Shois, Ella I Belekichas Ba'alim, when you purchase the birds, I Ba'asiyas Kohen, or when the kohen is makriv those birds. Today's Daf Amud Beis sponsored by Asher, Lili Nishmas' mother, Roiza Bas Ben Yamin, Rabbi Yisai should make it a great day, and by Dr. Listhouse, the tzaddik Mordechai Yosef, for his father Mordechai Yosef ben Aaron Listhouse. Says the Gemara. Okay, so that's not a case of breira. Fine, not a case of breira. Why? Because the kohen didn't decide. The women decided that whatever the kohen wants, he could do. Fine. Vakati savar Rabbi Yossi ein breira. You're still going to tell me that Rabbi Yossi is in this category? Ein breira. By the way, you notice green is yesh. It's good. You go. Green is go. Red is. We got to keep this. We got to keep a certain standard here. Red is stop. Ein breira. Vakati savar Rabbi Yossi ein breira v'tanya. Amaretz she'omar lechaver. An amaritz that tells a chaver, something that's not an amaretz. Kachli aguda achas shel yorok or gluska achas. Buy me a bread. No, that happens all the time. So remember this case. This is the case of a gluska. Here, I have it in here. Case number 2 is an amaretz and a bread. Buy me a bread. Now, the halacha is, if I buy bread from an amaretz store, I, or a chaver, must take trumas and maasros. But I'm not buying for myself. I'm buying for myself also. I'm buying for the amaretz. So let's say, just example, I buy 2 breads. It happens all the time. I tell my friend, you're going to the bakery, buy me challah for Shabbos. So he goes to the bakery, he buys 2 challahs, one for me, one from him. Does he know which one is for him, which one is for me? No. He grabs 2, puts it in a bag. When he gets to my house, he gives me 1 challah. He doesn't say, oh, this is Eli's challah. He doesn't do that. Oh. But when he buys it, he's chayiv in trumas and maasros because he just bought it from Amaretz. If you say that when he gives me the challah 2 hours later, yesh breira, now we know at the time of purchase that he bought it for me, this is the challah he bought for me, then that challah is part from truma or meiser. He's not mechuyev to give trumas and maasros for me, I'll give for myself. But if there's no breira, so when he purchased it, he bought both of them for himself. Later on, he made another transaction. He made a deal with me. He went and sold it to me at my doorstep. I mean, that's not really what he did, but halachically, that's how we have to view it. He bought both of them, and he had a chiyuv to give trumas and maasros, and then he gave me 1. So what do you see from here? From the fact that it says, Eino tzarich la'aser divrei Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi says you don't have to take maaser, is a raya that Rabbi Yosi holds yesh breira. By the time that when the chaver gives the loaf of bread to the amaretz, retroactively we know which one he purchased for the amaretz, even though at the time they were both in this bag all mixed up and there was no differentiation, there's no distinction. He decided at the time when he gave it to him that it's his, and retroactively we understand that's what happened. Says the Gemara something very powerful. Epoch. We know that Rabbi Yosi holds ein breira. He's in this category. It cannot be that Rabbi Yosi holds by a gluska yesh breira. We can't understand that when it comes to a loaf of bread. He says we have to flip him around. Chachamim say that he doesn't have to give meiser because yesh breira, and Rabbi Yosi is going to say ein breira. We have to flip around their names. Tashma, another case. Here's the case. I have meiser sheni, I have 10% fruit in my house. The 10% that goes to me, the 10% meiser sheni that I could eat, on condition that I redeem it, and I bring the money to Yerushalayim. But I say, whatever money comes out of my pocket, whatever I pull out of my pocket, that's the money that's going to go for the redemption. That's going to be the meiser sheni money. Now, right now I didn't do it yet. In the future. So what is that called? That's called yesh breira. So here are the 3 cases. We have the Kusi wine store. We have the Gluska. Rabbi Yosi says yesh breira. We flipped him around to ein breira. And now we have the money, the seller. Seller sh'tal b'yodim min hakis. Rabbi Yosi oimer mechulol. It's good. Later on, when I pull out a $100 bill, any one of these bills, retroactive, I'll figure out that's the one that I meant to be my meiser sheni redemption money. This is the Gemara Epoch. We have to flip this also. This we have to flip around, and this we have to flip around. So that what? It can match this. This right over here, remember Ula says, 2 of them are Remeir and Yehuda, 2 of them are Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yosi says ein breira. In what case did he say this? That Rabbi Yosi says ein breira? In the Kusi store. So now we're flipping money and bread, and we're saying Rabbi Yosi says ein breira. Ein breira, so he can match Kusi wine ein breira. Why don't we flip Kusi wine to match these guys? It says mafurish in the Brisa. Rabbi Yosi says yesh breira, yesh breira. And say that wine is yesh breira. Why are you flipping 2 to 1? It should be the opposite. The majority should win. The majority says Rabbi Yosi holds yesh breira. It's just the wine store that we say ein breira. Says the Gemara, no, it's actually 2 against 1, ein breira. Why? Havadi ibchatanya. The Ketani Seifu Madi Rabbi Yosi Ba'omer Meiser Sheyesh Lebetoch Beisi Yemachulal. The continuation of this story right over here, that a guy says that whatever money I take out of my pocket should be Meiser Sheni. What does it say right afterwards? It says, and Rabbi Yosi admits, if he says that the money that's in my pocket is brand new, it works. So if he's admitting that Yesh Breira, that means that right a second ago he didn't say Yesh Breira. I admit, I said in the first case when it's old money, it doesn't work, ein Breira. Umayda, and I admit that if he said on brand new money, and the Gemara is going to explain what that means, brand new money, then it does work. You could only admit to something that you argue on. You're not going to admit to something that you say, it's just say, Rabbi Yossi says in both cases it's good. And I admit. I admit means that he says ein Breira. So we have a case of ein Breira with a case of ein Breira by wine. So it's 2 against 1 by the gluska. Let's flip the gluska. In other words, yes, he does say over here yesh breira by the money, but that has to be a messed up brisa, and we proved it from the end of the brisa. From the fact that it says in the end of the brisa that it's a good meiser sheni, that means in the beginning of the brisa it wasn't a good meiser sheni. Says the Gemara, just let's explain the case. Tour guide Raki, Rabbi say we have another tour guide. Shalom Aleichem. We have so many of them. Baruch Hashem. Anybody come to Yisrael? Bekarev Mamish. We have a whole slew. Look, they're on top of each other on my screen. The wrong corn bluth and tour guide Raki. Unbelievable. Shalom Aleichem. Ari Rosenstein, Yishkoyach for being here. And Mark Ashkenazi, Yishkoyach for being here. Continue. No, seriously. If you want to learn from Balabatim, Ari Rosenstein, a guy that learns every single day, chazaris upon chazaris, he knows, I was by a siyum of his, I don't remember how many mesechtas. He's going to yell at me if I say the wrong number. 13, 15, I don't even know, more. Balpeh, he knows them Balpeh. Because he does chazaris every single day, and there's simonim, and so Meshachtas Shabbos, he left us. And now he promised he's going to come back for Eruvin, and he's back. And it's already 37 daf into it, and he's still here. Zok the Gemara. Says the Gemara, why is a new coin, they says, oh, the Ma'aseh Sheni Shibichal, my new coin, that Rabbi Yossi admits, yesh breira. If he has a whole pocket full of money like this, the yesh breira, in that case he says it's that you could decide retroactively, so why is that different than old money? Old money, new money. Elo, what it means, new means, Elo delek Elo chada. He only has 1 bill in his pocket. But it says, Tala, whatever comes out of my pocket. Comes out of the pocket means that he has a choice. 1 out of a few. I did Tani Reish Tala, Tani Seifa Nami Tala. Okay, we're just using the same language as we said in the Reish. But Taisus asks, so what's the Chiddush? Shkoyach. Whatever money comes out of my pocket, that $100 bill I have in my pocket, if it comes out, that's the only one that could come out. There's only 1 in there, so of course it's going to be Meiser Sheni. Says Taisvis, top line, I would think that I'm geyser for a case that there's 3, 4 bills and that this doesn't work. You have to hold it in your hand. Kamash when it does. Okay. So who's the Tana that says that there's no breira? No breira at all, even in a derabbanon. I can't say breira. I can't go retroactive. The Sanya, Rabbi say, this is the brisa discussing the world's greatest control freak. The Sanya. He points at his 5 friends. I'm making an Eruv on any one of you that I decide. If I decide you're going to go, you're going to go. You're not going to go, you're not going to go. Ma'amish Meshuggah of this guy. If he figures this out before Shabbos goes in, it's a good Eruv. What's an Eruv? A D'Rabbanan. Over here it says, Ein Breira. Because he says once Shabbos goes in, he doesn't have the right to retroactively decide which Eruv it is. No, that means Ein Breira. If you hold Yesh Breira, so I could retroactively decide on Shabbos and continue to be a control freak and decide, Shimon could use it. No, Reuben could use it. Elamai ein breira. Ishtik, Rav Nachman was quiet to Rava. Again, we had Rava yesterday also. Boy, Rava Rav Nachman. I don't know, I have to do a search, because you can't really do a search. Over here it says, Amalei Rava Rav Nachman. How many, I don't know, hundreds of times that Rava asks his Rebbe Rav Nachman in Shas. Ishtik v'lei Amar lei v'lei midi. He didn't know. Rav Nachman didn't know. Says the Gemara, v'lei v'lei tana debei ayoyu. Ayoy is the one that decided, his one time in Shas, that he decided that the Mishnah, that Rabbi Yehuda says, Yesh Breira, he says, Ein Breira. And what's our Mishnah in Masechtas Eruvin talking about an Eruv, which is the Rabbanan. So here we have a Tana called Ayoy, who says, Ein Breira, even on a Rabbanan like an Eruv. Says Gemara Leishmilei. Never heard of the Ayoy. Never heard of this. Rav Yosef, there's a thing in the Girsa here, who it is exactly. I forgot to look, but I know that the Marshal or whatever takes it out. Maybe Rabbi Yossi, I don't know. Rav Yosef Omar, Tanoi Shakals Ma'alma. Are you getting rid of all the Tanoi? What do you mean? Tanoi. There's more than Ayoy. Now the guy is being a control freak on himself. Not on his friends, on himself. I'm going to make an Eruv for every single Shabbos of the year. Rotzisi Eilech. He realizes his friends don't listen to him, so now he's controlling himself. Oh, I'm going to tell myself when to go and when not to go. If I decide that I want to use it, I'll use it. Yomi Eruvin. Same exact thing. If it's Chal before Shabbos, great. Like any other Eruv, it works. Once Shabbos comes in, nothing doing. In other words, Ein Breira. So the Tanakhama says, Ein Breira. Listen to this. This is a big bomb here. Reb Shimon Oimer, Eruv. Reb Shimon says, Yesh Breira. Big problem. Oy, Rabbi Yossi, what are we going to do? In the category of Ein Breira, who's under Reb Yossi? Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says, Ein Breira. We just finished up with Reb Yossi. Does he hold Yesh Breira, Ein Breira? We did a bunch of epochs. And now we have a problem with Reb Shimon. Because you said, Ula says, that Reb Shimon holds Ein Breira, and over here it says Mefurish, that a person could decide on Shabbos whether or not his Eruv works, whether or not we go retroactively and decide it was an Eruv Ben Hashmashas. That's called Yesh Breira, and Chacham say Ein Breira, and the Gemara is going to bring 4 very simple tirutzim. Teretz number 1 is our favorite, Epoch. Flip the names around. Chachamim are the one that say Yesh Breira, and Reb Shimon is going to say Ein Breira. Or, in a D'Rabbanan, like an Eruv, Reb Shimon will admit Yesh Breira. That was the question before. Can we differentiate between a D'Rabbanan and the D'Oraisa? Here, Reb Shimon will say D'Rabbanan. Before, when we're talking about wine in a store of a kusi, we're talking about Trumas and Maisris. That's a D'Oraisa. But over here, not. And then we have 2 more pshatim. That wine is different. Why? Wine, you cannot see where the truma is. It's all mixed up into a bottle. So there's a special halach in truma that you need to see it. The 4th pshat is, wine has a problem. What if you drink this wine because you're assuming that you're going to take truma tomorrow, and then the bottle falls on the floor and explodes? You are going to be chayiv misa for eating tevel retroactively, because you never took your trumas and maisris. That's the concern. Shema yiboka hanoid. Let's see it inside. Really easy stuff. Says the Gemara. And this is where Menachem Ateh gets up and runs to Slichas. Nobody told him to live 25 minutes away from the shul. Ella Epoch. Oh, it's the Gemara, the less Breira. We just said in wine, Kusi wine, we said he holds Ein Breira, Kashi the Reb Shimon, it's a contradiction. Ella Epoch. We got to flip around Reb Shimon Shita. That's pshat number 1. My kasha, pshat number 2. Duma kilesa Reb Shimon Breira, b'da'iraisa. Reb Shimon in the wine store, which is the da'iraisa, take truma, he says Ein Breira. Av b'da'rabanan by Eruv, Islay, he holds you could go retroactive. Says the Gemara, no, because Rav Yosef, man the Islay Breira, loishnem b'da'iraisa, loishnem b'da'rabanan, Islay. It doesn't matter if it's a da'iraisa or da'rabanan, he'll hold Yesh Breira. Well, man the lesser, Rav Yosef holds, you can't, no. You have to take a shita and go with it through and through, whether it's the da'iraisa or da'rabanan, or man the lesser Breira, now, Rava, 2 simple pshatim. What is the difference between an Eruv and wine? Wine, we said Ein Breira. Rava Amar Shani Hasam, the Be'inan Reishis. It says in the pasuk, Reishis, the Goncha v'Tiroishcha. Rashis, Shishayoreha Nikarim. When I separate my truma, I need to be able to say, oh, that's my truma right over there. Says the Gemara, what if a person is holding in front of him 2 fruit? And he makes a funny t'nai. He says, if it's going to rain today, the one on the right side is going to be my truma, this will be the truma. But if it's not going to rain today, the one on the left will be the truma. I can't differentiate. They're both the same. They're right here. It's not shiurei nikarim. You can't say that this is truma. And if you'll say yes, I'll prove it to you from a Mishnah. Says Rashi, he should have jumped right away to the Mishnah. Why does he bring this case that he made up? He's looking at a pile of grain and he says, this right over here in the center should be truma. And the truma, first you take truma, then you take trumas meiser, or you take meiser, and then you take trumas meiser, right? So the truma and the meiser should be right over here. Trumas meiser. Reb Shimon, who says, Ein Breira, here he says, Kar Hashem, it's perfect. It works. Says the Gemara, that's not a good raya from there. Shani Hasan Dikas Vivav. He's pointing over here. This is where I want my truma. Guess what? All this over here is not. So it's distinguishable. This is truma, this area is not. But a bottle of wine, it's liquid. It's all mixed up in there. You can't distinguish anything. Another pshat. Now we're going to pshat number 4. We're concerned wine is different. Maybe it'll explode. You're not concerned that the wine is going to explode. And then it comes out that you never were able to take Trumas HaMaisros. And what you drank yesterday was complete tevel. Chayiv Misa. I'm not worried. No, if it happens, once in a blue moon will happen, I'll worry about it then. The Gemara, just to finish up, but according to pshat number 3, we said that by wine, it has to be distinguishable. So then how does it fit in? He says, they said, aren't you concerned about an explosion? And he says, no, I'm not concerned about explosion. But how does that fit in? You said the whole concern is it needs to be distinguished. So what are they telling him about exploding? What does an explosion have to do with being distinguished? Mike Armelay says, Gemara, we hold being in Reisha Shiurei Nikar. We hold that the problem is you cannot take Trumas and Maisros retroactively because it needs to be distinguishable where the Truma is and it's liquid and it's all mixed up. You don't hold of that? You don't hold of this whole pasuk Reisha Nikar? I'll bring you another kasha. But there's another issue. What if it explodes? And then retroactively you're chayiv misa. You believe what's going on here? I had a whole suda, I drank wine, everything was perfect. And then all of a sudden, retroactive, I'm chayiv misa. The next day I find out I'm chayiv misa. Retroactive. If that happens, I'll worry about it. Rabbi say, have a wonderful day. Shir Hamalois.